The thing I was saying about America not wanting to be too dependent on China, you can see that in Europe as well. Everybody is concerned, particularly about strategic industries, that there could be something critical to the function in their economy or even the society that is controlled by a country they don't entirely trust. And that's probably what's happening with China. So there may be an element of American pressure there. I don't know. I think in the end, it's clearly in China's interests. They need a good relationship with Europe. Maybe I'm too complacent, but when things are bad with America, if you're looking at the other big market in the West is Europe. The European single market is as big as the United States domestic market. And I think the Europeans, by and large, want to continue to do trade with China. And so they will try to limit the rupture. I think the distinction people try to make is non-strategic trade and strategic trade. So sometimes they'll say there are things that have military implications or that are central to our kind of high-tech economy that we want to restrict Chinese access to, but the rest will be okay. I don't know whether that distinction actually works because there's not a fine line, but that is the kind of distinction they'll try and tread. So I would imagine in the Dutch case, you're talking about, the Dutch will say, well, this is a very specific thing with a very kind of high-tech thing that we don't want to lose control of, but the rest is all fine. And that will be the distinction they try and make. Whether that works or not, I don't know. I mean, Europe's in a difficult situation in all sorts of ways. Economically, with the war in Ukraine, with Trump, China's part of it. But I think that the Europeans, there's a big debate going on. I mean, within countries and within Europe, so that it's hard to say there's a single European attitude to China. There will be people, I've met them, who say, with Trump putting pressure on Europe, Europe should swing towards China, if only as leverage. That, if we're losing access to the American market, well, there's the other big Chinese market. China could be a big source of investment in electric vehicles, whatever it is. And so there's a lot of interest in that. But at the same time, I think there are two qualifications. One is this thing we were discussing earlier. Is Chinese industry too powerful, and will it overwhelm the European car industry? And the second is this strategic concern, which is more at the moment about Russia than about China. But because China is close to Russia, there's a suspicion of China as well. And again, because we, for the moment, need the United States and the US is very concerned about China. They're an influential voice.